Well, hello there, friends, and welcome to Virtual Show, the only late night VR talk show. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend Roots. Roots, how you doing tonight, friend?
I'm good. Good. Actually had a good day. It's also halfway through the week, Wes. So closer to Saturday. That's always good. And we're having like 60s and 70s this week. So I'm wearing shorts, and it's always good.
Yeah, it's always good until you get in the headset, right? And then all of a sudden you're longing for the snowy days again.
Yeah, that is true. We're gonna be hitting that sweet spot pretty here. Or I guess getting over the sweet spot where we're now it's too hot, and everybody starts bitching about it being too hot. And I don't know. People are never happy with the weather, so they're just gonna always be myself included, especially when it comes to VR. So.
Except for those who are rocking the HTC Vive Pro, I'm sure that they'll have some sort of an attachment soon that has fans connected to it, so that you don't get too hot.
I don't know. Well, what was it that one that isn't there one in the index or something? I was reading something and people were saying that was gimmicky or something that it really wasn't keeping them cool or whatever. I just having an AC room. I mean, shelling out the extra money for AC is nice, right? Most people don't do that. Um, and every year I find a reason not to. So
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. I guess you guys noticed that we let in with a bit of a trailer today. We've made no secret on our show just how much we're looking forward to Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. And I thought I'd share with all of you this awesome bit of pre launch promotion they've got going on right now. If you go to their website, wraithafterlife.com, um, they're running, well, I mean, it's kind of a contest, but it's pretty cool because we're actually getting our first look inside the Barclay Mansion firsthand. And it's a bit of a game that runs in your browser, a point and click game. And basically, you're going through there with your camera, taking photos of the apparitions, or as they like to call them, remnants.
hmm.
Uh, if you find all of them and snap uh, the pictures of all of them, your name gets entered in. And what they're going to do is well, first of all, just for participating, you get a free HD wallpaper. And then if you complete the thing, you get your name entered into a drawing and you can win one of two things. One, they're going to pick up to 10 people to get their name put in the actual game. So I don't know what that's going to consist of, but your name will forever be immortalized in what I'm sure is going to be a pretty awesome horror game. But beyond that, they're also going to be giving away an Oculus Quest 2, a Wraith Afterlife branded one, actually. And it looks pretty cool. And it's an awesome contest. And I just thought I would share that with you all to kick it off. I don't have it linked in the description right now, but I will link it in the description. But I mean, if you don't want to wait on that, it's wraithafterlife.com. I did it yesterday. So I think all of you should go in there. It's free stuff, Roots.
Yeah. Yeah, actually I did it as well. Free quest. Who doesn't want a free quest too, right? I think I'd give it to my dad or something. But I don't know. That'd be cool. I think that's really cool. Why not? Something fun to try as we're waiting for this game, and you might win a free quest, and you might be immortalized. How cool would it be, Wes, if you were like a murder victim or something? You were immortalized in that way. I don't know if I would. I would rather be like maybe the murderer, but either way sounds creepy. So
Yeah, it sounds cool for sure. And we don't have long to wait on this game. It's coming out in just a few weeks on the Oculus platform for Quest and Rift. And man, I can't wait to get my hands on this game. And how many times have we sit here and talked about these VR studios and how they just don't get it when it comes to marketing and how to get their game out there? Not the problem here. These guys are zigging when everyone else would have zagged, and I think the hype level is pretty high for this game right now.
yeah, absolutely. And no better way to get people to pay attention to say Quest 2. And people, you get them in the door and then you show them the quality. And I want to win it, Wes. So
Well, I want to win it, Roots, but good luck to you, sir. I hope if I don't win it, that you do at least.
Yeah, well, if you win it, what would be cool is then you and your wife could both be Quest 2 in it. And then,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome, right?
Well, we've been more and more thinking about picking up another one anyway, just because the G2, it's a bit of friction involved, with PCVR in general, but even more so with that thing, it kind of amplifies the friction a little bit. So it would be nice to have another Quest 2 lying around, another headset that you could just put on and play. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mash says free Quest 2 for Scion VR. Be a perfect way for you to try without having to shell the money out. And then if you didn't, you could see if you liked it. And there'd be glasses and there's still other excuses, but yeah.
Now you still got to merge it with Facebook, man,
Oh, that's right. That's true.
because they don't know who you are from your regular Oculus profile.
He's gonna have to merge his obsolete Oculus CV1 pretty soon. I was gonna say Rift S because they're pretty much obsolete as well. Oh, by the way, Wes, my Rift S comes on Friday finally, so I'll have a fresh Rift S to try out. So
Freshy.
yeah, everybody loves Freshy, right?
Yeah, you're looking forward to getting that one back.
Yeah, just check it out, try it, see what's see if it's all good to go. I was thinking maybe my issues I had with Doom 3 might have been on PC, might have been Quest 2 related. I don't know. I'm curious to get to that part of the conversation with you because very weird stuff for me. So
Well, we will certainly get to that, but before we kick it off, let's do what we always do. Let's say hello to our friends in chat. Looks like we have a few friends joining us tonight. Eric Mash Daddy, as always, coming through as his Radio Run, and Mepper. Mepper says he wants the free PS5 instead. I thought you were a VR gamer, bro. No, I'm,
yeah.
I'm just playing. Person says the weather is about to go from near 80 to 24 over a few days. So
Oh wow.
I got to imagine there's going to be some high wind coming through like there was here a few days ago.
Yeah, high wind sucks.
Space Dennison, aka Void Cat, in the house, as is Drew. What's up, friend? Let's see. Hussein X, hello, hello.
Scion
And
says Facebook is the enemy, hail Valve or anyone else. And I'll tell you what, man, Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg was a little creepy at his this last week. They did like grilled him again, all the heads of the things, and
yeah.
they act really weird, dude. Like I don't know if they're human, dude. Something's weird. They're creepy.
Yeah, they do seem a bit strange. They're like they grew up in a closet or something.
Probably did.
Kenty Poo joining us live, Roots.
Oh yeah, who doesn't love some Kenny Poo? Especially live. I guess this isn't very common for you, Kenny Poo, right? You don't get to catch us live very much.
No, Kenty Poo always catches the replay though, and he always comments. He helps us fight the algorithm by commenting a lot, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
Scion showed up to heckle as usual, so good to see you, Scion. And I think that's it, Root. I think that's the cast. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But welcome one and all.
Yeah.
So let's get to it, Roots. We've got a lot to talk about here. Generally, what'll happen is we'll talk about 2 or 3 games, and we'll call it an episode. But today, our first topic, while it's just one game, is actually 2 or 3 games, because this past week, PlayStation VR got its second major release of the year when Doom 3 VR Edition launched onto the PlayStation VR platform. Before we even get started, I'd like to thank the good people at Bethesda Softworks for providing me with review access, as well as our good friends at Archiact for making that happen. You guys are super cool, and we really appreciate the support. So yeah, late on launch day, Roots. I got the email from Bethesda asking if I wanted to check it out, and I was like, but of course. And it didn't take them long to get back to me with the key. And upon jumping into this, I mean, it was immediately noticeable. This was the Doom 3 that we've all come to love. It was the same Doom 3 that we've been playing on Oculus Quest for the last couple of months. Only there was one real big difference, Roots, and I'm sure you already know what I'm going to say. It was that aim controller.
Yeah, you had the aim controller, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it does make a difference, and not all of them good. Obviously, um, you know, it doesn't support move controllers. It's only dual shock or aim, which means you kind of still have the same thing going on like you had in Doom VFR with the aim controller, where your hands are just kind of tied and out in front of you, and you're kind of pointing and clicking to interact with objects. But on the upside, uh, you know, we have all new weapon models, and the weapons are kind of powered differently in this than the other iterations of the game, especially the shotgun. The shotgun in the PlayStation VR version is awesome. It's super powerful. It's got a great sound when you pull the trigger. And most of all, the haptics in the aim controller are so far and above having the individual touch controllers in your hand. It really made a big difference with regards to immersion.
Oh well, now I'm jealous. So you don't feel like you'd feel the same way if you had a gun stock with the Doom 3 PC version?
No, I don't. And we're going to get to the gun stock before we sign off today. I did manage to get a little bit of time in today with it. You know, I'm still a novice with it, but I do have some early impressions I'd like to share with everyone. But in the with regards to Doom 3 on the various platforms, I got to say that I probably prefer the aim controller as a interface over touch controllers.
Now let me ask you this: assume that the aim controller now that so is that I'm assuming over the overall the PlayStation VR version you preferred in general, then because of that, correct?
Well, no, not necessarily. Not, and I don't know if I could really put my finger just yet on a certain one that I like better. They all have advantages and disadvantages. And for those that really want my long form thoughts on this, I'd like to point you to a series of videos that I'm in the process of publishing on the channel here. We put the first one out this morning, and basically, I'm doing a 3-part series, gameplays uh, from each version. So this morning, I put out the PSVR video. Tomorrow, I'll put out the Quest video. The next day, I'll put out the PC video, and it'll have a lot more detailed thoughts on the strengths and weaknesses of each platform. But right off the bat, I went into this game looking for it not to be the best, which the reason why I've heard quite a few people complaining about the texture resolution in the game. They all say that it's super blurry,
Hmm.
and you know, not having an early key. I actually heard all this stuff before I went into the game, so I really had low expectations for it. But upon actually getting into the game, I mean, yeah, it's not as crisp and clear as the other versions of the game. But with that said, I didn't find it atypical of a PlayStation VR game. It looked like a day one PSVR game played on the PS4 Slim. Now, with that said, I was playing on PS5, um, and it has yet to be patched for PS5 or PS4 Pro. But generally, these types of patches don't come on day one. So just because we don't have one now doesn't mean that we're not going to get one. I did reach out to Archiac to ask them if such a patch was in the works, to which they had no reply. So I don't know if it's coming. I imagine if people keep making us think about it, it will come. But you know, for all of the pluses that come from the aim controller, it was a fairly noticeable step down in terms of clarity.
Okay. Well, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if there wasn't a patch for. I mean, we've got a PS4 Pro and PlayStation 5, and it's Bethesda. It's not like it's some crappy
Right.
ass small company. It's not like it's gonna be that hard to optimize it. So I think they will. It's just a matter of
Yeah,
time.
you'd think so. I mean, it's become a very common thing now. All of the best developers, when people start complaining, they fix it, right? And a PS4 Pro patch is pretty much a given these days when it comes to these type of AAA releases. And you know, um, you know, with that said, a lot of people are making a lot about the softness, as Gamertag likes to call it, in the basically the environments, because it really wasn't the case with the character models. All that stuff was super sharp. It was just in the environments, like the walls and the pictures and stuff on the walls, signs, things like that were a little blurry. But there were other issues that I felt were way more uh, egregious than that. Namely, when the game auto saves. When the thing auto saves, it is so abrupt. The whole thing pauses. This 2D menu just flashes up on the screen abruptly, and it's very jarring, very immersion breaking every time that it happened. So that was rather bothersome. Another issue was the scaling on the character models. They all seem to look like that one guy in the lobby in Beetlejuice that had the tiny head. All of these character models had these little tiny heads. And while it wasn't game breaking, it was certainly distracting.
Comical, right? Well, how do you know, man? Maybe the part of the whole zombie thing is it, or the demonic thing is it shrinks their heads. You know,
Well, you
that
probably have to have a shrunken head to get in this sort of situation to begin with, huh?
yeah, well, that's what's creepy about this whole thing. It's just the way the whole thing starts when that guy's like saying, the devil's real and I created this cage, and then all of a sudden it crashes out and shit hits the fan and everybody's crazy, right? Um, I don't know, man. This is a game that I kind of wondered why I didn't play it to begin with, back in the day. It's pretty cool. I'm glad I'm getting the chance to play through it now. Look at it, just some of these monsters, bro. Like it's just crazy. So the
Yeah,
gameplay
man.
was
And that
amazing though in this, right? Sorry.
Yeah, the gameplay was great. Again, the aim controller fits here perfectly. There were some UI things that I prefer on the PlayStation VR version. Some of the stuff that kind of floats in front of you as a HUD in the other versions, it's just kind of all integrated into your weapons and your watch, and that HUD isn't there anymore to just always be floating in front of your eyes.
Mm.
I did like that. I like the way that the PDA works better on the PlayStation. Now, most people would disagree with me on this. Um, when you access the PDA in the PlayStation version, it basically uh, fills the screen. It's not like in the Quest version where you're holding it in front of your face. It just floats in front of your face, and you use the buttons and sticks to navigate it. I preferred that. I found it easier to read and easier to navigate. I preferred it over. I guess I should specify over the way it's implemented in the Quest version.
Yeah.
Now the PC version, I think, is probably the best out of the three. But as opposed to the Quest version, I like the PlayStation version better. Um, Also, something that's very, very evident is this is by far, and it's not even close, the fastest version of Doom 3. Like when you're playing on Quest, it's rather slow. And PC is too, although there is a setting on PC that you can adjust to make it faster. Default out of the box, the PlayStation VR version is lightning fast. Like they're not worried about people getting sick at all. That you can, it plays like an old Doom game with that respect. You can fly down these corridors at a million miles an hour, and obviously I prefer that as well.
Did you try the trigger on the Quest? There's like the left controller if you I think it's the grip button. One of those buttons makes you run fast. Like
Yeah, it's still it's not as fast as you walk in PlayStation VR. It's just It's just so fast.
I gotcha. Well, that's they put out the version that they probably just put out the way the game was made. They weren't worried about slowing things down, right?
Well, that's the thing. I would say, if anything, that this is a. I think PSVR without parole nailed it. It's a straight port. Like they didn't do a whole lot of extra. They made a lot out of these enhanced character models and sound effects. It's minimal. I mean, some of the sound effects are pretty cool, uh, but I mean, it's pretty much a straight port of Doom 3 on the PlayStation VR. Now, with that said, it's a great game and a lot of content too here with the DLC packs being included, all for $20, which is probably the most shocking thing out of all of it to me, because in my opinion, this is a $30 game, hands down, without question. I think they would have sold just as many of them at $30. So the fact that they're giving it to people for 20, like I said on Gamertag's channel earlier today, I think it's a bit of a gift for the PSVR community. And, I wouldn't be discouraged by anything these people on Reddit are saying. If you're a PlayStation VR gamer, uh, you're going to like this game. So I would highly recommend it.
It's gonna be patched. If you have a Pro or a 5, I'd be shocked, if they don't give some sort of optimization to make it. I mean, especially the 5, dude. You got so much horsepower under there. You should see absolute no shimmer, and that's probably why people got shocked. They're like using hardware, like, whoa, wait a minute, this should be nice and crisp and clear. Um, so
Yeah, well, I mean, there was surprisingly little shimmer in it. Really, the only visual defect was the low texture resolution, and that was only at a distance. Like as you approach things, they come into focus quite well, actually. And it's funny, as we segue into the Quest version. I did a bit of a test here. As I mentioned on the PlayStation version, things look a little blurry at a distance. As you approach them, they get super sharp. But with the Quest version, everything's kind of sharp to begin with. But as you approach them, you don't have the same thing happen. I think that the actual textures on the Quest version are lower resolution overall than the PlayStation version.
mm,
But I think all this extra sharpness that you're getting is actually from the hardware instead of the software itself. It's just the display is so much more resolute that everything just appears clear. So while in PlayStation things are blurry at a distance and sharp as you get close to them, in the Quest they're sharp at a distance but kind of get blurry when you get close to them. It's kind of the opposite effect.
okay. Well, two questions before we cut away from. Well, I just did cut to the Quest footage anyway. That people are asking. Technoglitch wants to know how the cutscenes are, and Kinty Poo wants to know how the gun reload animations are.
The gun reload animations are pretty solid, man. I mean, I didn't pay a lot of attention to them other than when I was editing today, but they're pretty solid. Again, it's push button stuff. Again, a straight port from Doom, and that would be how I would answer the cutscene question as well. Is it's a straight port. It's not 3D. It's not VR, like it's not 360 like in the other versions. It's flat 2D cinema sequences.
Hmm. Okay.
You just kind of step back out of the game, and as theater mode kind of moves out in front of you for a moment, you watch the stuff and then you kind of move back into the scene.
Gamer Chick says, "You know who else gives the opposite effect when you get closer?"
My mom!
Oh yes, I don't even know what that means, but I like it. That's funny. Well, I'll tell you what. Now, one thing about this Quest version, I that blew me away. Is I just how good. I mean, yeah, there's not. It's the graphics like they're the original Doom graphics, but man, it looks so good, right? Like for a game that is on a standalone headset. It looked phenomenal. I didn't even mess with anything in side quests. I thought about beefing up the CPU or the graphics or whatever, and I just didn't do it, and it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, after playing the PlayStation version for most of the day yesterday, uh, very late at night, I stepped into the Quest version, and it was immediately noticeable just how much more clear and crisp everything was. How much easier it was to read things from a distance. Um, it was jarring, the difference in it. Now, with that said, again, I think based on my observations that it was 100% the hardware. I don't think I think if you could play the PlayStation version in the Quest headset, that it would look better than the Quest version. But the headset has that much more resolution, and that alone is a game changer, visually speaking.
Oh yeah, it's hands down. That's why YouTube alone still drops my jaw when I'm in the Quest 2. Man, this thing looks so good, right? Especially the 12K videos and stuff now. They're getting to be really good, Wes. I went into a couple of the Amaze TV, like they've got those stories, and the cameras are getting really good. Like the people, everything's looking really sharp, and it kind of gives me hope for what we're about to see in the future. So
Yeah, the camera technology is actually something that I follow along with a little bit outside the context of our channel. It's something that I'm interested in, and the cameras, they went from 4K to almost 6K to 8K. The professional cameras were 8K, and this within a few months now, Sony's going to put out like a 12K professional camera, and that thing's going to be nuts.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, like I said, that Palau channel or whatever on YouTube VR in the Oculus Quest, the one that does all the um goes to all these different countries and stuff. They've done some that are 12K now, and it's just phenomenal how good it looks. It's like when I saw somebody was commenting one time and they were asking and saying, do all, I think it was on um Mash's Oculus Quest group, all these videos look like crap. And I was like, dude, you just need to find the right ones, man. There's ones out there that drop my jaw. And just a couple of years ago, it was like you would roll your eyes at these 360 videos because they just weren't good enough. Now they're just phenomenal. And once it gets to be the standard, think about it. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's you know, it's it's a area that's in its infancy right now, VR video making and photography, but it's very interesting. Anybody that's got some expertise with photography, now would be a good time to get into that, because I feel like it's going to take off in the next few years, not only from these professional filmmaker standpoints, but in people's personal lives. All of the applications that people hire for photographers for now, there's going to be a demand for someone who can do all this stuff in VR in
Mm.
just a few years' time. It's
Imagine.
something that I've considered getting into myself,
It's a good idea.
just because again I've taken such an interest in it. Um, the equipment's so expensive though, and you know, it isn't something that anybody can just pick up and do. There's some education involved within it as well.
Imagine like 360 videos of weddings, you know what I mean? Just stuff like that you're gonna want to have that memory in a better form. It's just I would hire somebody for something like that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's capturing memories, and again, as more and more people buy these Quest headsets, more and more people are going to start to realize the power that's in their hands. It's literally the cameras are getting so good now that you can literally capture not more than just a moment in time, but hours in time.
And then it's gonna be years in time. I don't know if I want that much video. Um, but
Lincoln Clay joined in the chat. Hello, sir. Welcome. Um, but back to this Oculus Quest version, Roots. Um, Again, while I prefer the aim controller, there were some advantages that came the touch controllers. I did enjoy using my hands to interact with all of the panels and things in the game, and you know, really the only thing that I could complain about that aspect of is sometimes the game doesn't seem to know whether or not you should be pointing with your finger or holding a gun. And sometimes I would get close to something and I would point at it for a moment and then my gun would pop into my hand and I would literally have to back out from it and reapproach to get my finger back out again. Did you encounter this at all?
Yeah, there was a little bit of weirdness when it came to that. Absolutely. Because you, like you said, you get close to it and then all of a sudden your gun changes to your finger or vice versa. And so I don't know, this person is just having fun in front of that mirror, bro. Um, but no, I didn't notice it that much, but I did notice it a little bit. But I agree. I think being able to interact, even though being able to play the game in general and with the aim control, you have advantages, but the disadvantage of not being able to use the PDA with your finger if you want. But I guess you preferred it differently. You said, did you go smash that thing in the face a couple times over there, Wes? The arcade game,
Yeah,
the
dude,
turkey.
I scored
Okay.
25,000 points on Super Turbo Turkey Puncher 3.
I can't go in this game without punching that turkey a couple times, bro. I don't think I went 25,000, but that's crazy.
Uh, yeah, I went nuts with it. Now, with regards to the PDA, it wasn't so much that I don't like using my finger to navigate. I did like that. What I didn't like is the thing is literally in your face. When you're holding it like right out in front of you, the screen is in your face. And in order to use it, I had to extend my arm like all the way out to get it at a comfortable distance, which is okay for a few seconds. But after a few minutes, your arm starts to get tired of holding it there. And especially with my Quest controllers the way they are right now, they're all gimmicked up with this gun stock stuff, which makes them even heavier. So yeah, it was really more about the scaling and distance of the thing. Uh, Really made it difficult to get comfortable using.
Okay. Was the autosave jarring? Did autosave pull you out in this one as well?
No, no, the autosave is perfect in the Quest version. I had no issues there uh,
Yeah.
at all. It was really nice actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it was real nice. I don't know, it's just an amazing game to be able to play so easily. Now, I didn't make it past I for some reason, Wes, and I need to find out, but there's got to be something I was doing wrong, man. I got to the point where everything went to hell and I ran back. I went back across the thing and I got to a doorway that was partially like I think a monster was starting to come through it. I think maybe it glitched or something because it stopped and there was a hole there. And it's telling me to go to the security place and I can see it's through that door and I've gone back and forth and there's nothing I can do. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I just keep running back and
No,
forth.
I'm sorry. Which place is it that you're having trouble accessing?
Just the security, the main first beginning place. You know, you go in there, you you go to cross to the Mars, you go outside, you know, and everything turns to hell. You come back,
Right,
it says to go to the security place to go up the elevator or whatever. And I go
right.
through around this corner and there was a doorway there and a monster attacked it and it kind of ripped a hole in it, but it didn't come through. And that security place it's telling me to go through is through that door with the hole. I almost killed that guy because I knew that he was supposed to
Okay,
be.
yeah, I remember this sequence that you're talking about. There's another way around.
Mm.
If you walk
I went
walk in the
around.
opposite direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I went around for a while. I didn't see it, but I'll have to look. I was put off by the fact that things were trying to kill me. I guess they're possessed Wes. So this guy, I don't know what his deal is, but you know, he seems like he wanted to help me, and then when I come back, he's trying to kill me. So
Well, I killed him the first time around. So when I came back, he was just a pile of bones.
I thought about doing that, Wes, because I just walked and I killed one guy who was like trying to talk to me, and I just killed him, and I was like, oh, I can kill this guy, and I knew that I was like, I bet you, Wes, See, this is where I couldn't get through. I can't. This is where I'm stuck, Wes. If you go down this thing, I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I was
Yeah,
really
well, I
impressed with the
mean,
lighting in here as well.
it's in my video. So I mean, just kind of skip through it if you need to. If you get stuck and can't figure out your way through. Um, I don't remember exactly how I got through offhand, but there's a way.
Now, did you have any performance issues? I mean, it did stutter a little bit here or there, right? I mean, because it is
Yeah,
standalone.
this was another thing that the PlayStation had an advantage over the Quest. Not that it's a huge thing, but there are areas where the frame rate drops significantly in the Quest version, and you never had any of that on PlayStation.
Mm.
Um, Generally, areas with a lot of fog and multiple enemies, the thing really stutters a lot. And, sometimes there's no action going on, so it's not a big deal. But then when you've got these big hell dogs coming after you, it can be a bit frustrating.
I wonder if maybe next time I go in, I'll hook it up to side quest and juice it up, right? To juice up the CPU power or something, see if it makes it any run any smoother.
I never do that. Like I never do that. I do it. I've done it maybe 4 or 5 times ever, and it was always when I was recording something, and and wanted to have a little extra juice, but I've never really been able to tell much of a difference when I use it.
Yeah, me neither. But they need to implement it to where you can just do that through the menu. So you don't have to hook it up to some thing, you know?
Right, right,
So,
right. Unlock it. You think if you have it in dev mode that you'd be able to debug from inside the headset, right?
yeah, that'd be nice.
But no, I really enjoy uh, every version of this game, I guess I should say. Again, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, big advantage here, outside of the clarity, outside of the hand presence, is the fact that it's untethered. You can move freely in it, and not having that cable hanging from your headset does add a little more immersion uh, to the experience, right?
Yeah, or if you're like a person that doesn't want a smooth turn, if you just want to turn in real life, makes it really easy, right? So,
Yeah, well, I generally tend to smooth turn, but sometimes when things are coming at you from all directions, it helps to be able to move quickly.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, if you can jump out of the way of something, although I would be careful. I've been seeing a lot of posts of people breaking monitors and TVs and stuff from Gorilla Tag. I would.
Yeah.
It's the new Gorn Wes.
Oh, indeed, it is. People are busting. I mean, I saw a controller that was completely destroyed the other day, like completely destroyed. Like, man, what were you doing?
I just don't. I've never done that. Jumped out of the way. I've hit something by accident, but it's like you weren't like what you're describing was someone that just like went all in. Like they were. I'm going through this wall. So
So we got people in chat talking about the scaling, and I've heard people say this that they encountered some scaling issues on the Quest version as well. But coming from the PlayStation version into the Quest version seemed a lot better in those terms. Now, Simplex left a comment earlier today saying that the character heads were small in the Quest version as well, but I really didn't see it. Everything looked pretty good to me in the Quest.
I didn't notice any scaling issues, but I wasn't looking for it. I was just blown away that that guy was punching that dude. I didn't know you could punch him. It's not fair.
Yeah, you can punch everything, dude. And that's another cool thing about the Quest version versus the PlayStation version. You have to push button to punch in the PlayStation, whereas in the Quest version, you can physically swing and punch the characters.
Did you feel like there was a difference? I mean, because this is like the argument people could say about or have said about the Lou Gross mod, the real mod, when they've poo-pooed the GTA 5 mod and said, no, no hand presence, sorry, not interested.
Right.
Would that deter you? I mean, is this a game that you're like, oh, sorry, hand presence, I can't physically punch, so I'm out?
Now, obviously, I would like to have Move controllers in the PlayStation version. Move controllers were my preferred method of playing Doom VFR on PlayStation, and and beyond that, I do enjoy in the Quest version being able to physically interact with items and physically swing my punches. With that said, it's not a game breaker. Like, uh, the game's great with the aim controller. I didn't try the DualShock. It's just it's not my game, bro. If I have another option, I'll always choose it. But while I would like to have hand presence in games, generally speaking, I'm okay for video games being video games, and it's not a game breaker for me.
Okay. Uh,
Anyway, I guess we should move on. I'm kind of curious, Roots, because you said you were having some issues with the Doom 3 BFG mod on PC, and I guess I assume that you, like me, installed the fully possessed mod with the high def texture pack.
I did the first time, and then the second time I didn't do the high def tech pack because I was having so many issues. I don't know exactly what my first issues were, if I installed it incorrectly or if it got corrupted or something. I was just having issues in general. I would get it to load up, and then it would do that first screen where it described the beginning thing, and then it would go to like it was going to go in, and then it would just close. And so I did a fresh install, and I was able to get in there, and I was all excited. And then all of a sudden I got in, and I can't move. I can look around and stuff. I was able to because they've got a way that you can set up your controllers, right? Your controls.
Yeah.
So I was able to get myself to be able to spin. But then what was happening is when I moved forward, I would push forward and I would see my guy run out. It reminded me of LA Noir, that one. There was a movement style that you could do this. My guy would run out of me and I could run him around the room. I could run him into a different room and the door would shut. And then as soon as I would let go, I would be in there. And so, for the life of me, there was nothing I could do. I don't know why this was going on. I couldn't reset it to where the controller would allow me to walk around normal. I just had to run my third person guy out of my body and around corners or wherever, and then face him a certain way, and then zoom in, and then look, and then do. But I did it for a while just to look around. I had to talk about it, but I don't know if it's a Quest 2 problem, if there was an issue with the link, or why there was issues with the controller. Because clearly, I'm assuming you're about to tell me, no, bro, everything ran great for me, and it did run great for me the last time I ran it like a year ago, and then it was on my Rift S. So it's kind of sucked because I didn't have my Rift S yet to try it. So
Yeah, I played it on Oculus Link with my Oculus Quest 2 and did
okay.
not experience any of this.
Oh well.
What you may have done, just as a stab, you may have inadvertently switched some settings around, because I know that in Lies Beneath specifically, as a comfort option, they have a third person locomotion option,
Hmm.
and it works just like that. You use your thumbsticks to walk. It doesn't have a character model, but a cursor around the area, and then when you stop moving, you just zoom into that spot,
Hmm.
and that's what this sounds like to me.
It says that was a movement mode that devs were playing with before everyone just started demanding smooth movement. I wonder if somehow I turned it on, Wes. I mean,
That's what
I didn't do the texture pack. So let me hear you tell me how awesome that looked, because I did last time and I remember I could have sworn it looked good, but I don't know, man.
yeah. To be honest, I was expecting more of a jump over the Quest version than what was actually there. Now, don't get me wrong, it does look better than the Quest version. Everything's got a bit more sharpness to it. The lighting and shadows were way better. That was probably the biggest difference in graphical, uh, biggest difference graphically. But to be honest, it really wasn't head and shoulders above the Quest version. They're very similar in terms of how the games look.
Okay. Well, that's kind of. I mean, it was 7 gigs, Wes. Like that was a lot of textures in that pack, right? It's a big texture pack.
Yeah, and there were some things that I noticed, like for example, like the main menu was really the only one I noticed real 3D depth, like real heavy 3D depth in the menu. And everything did kind of pop a little bit more. It seemed like it had a little bit more depth to it in the game as well. But as far as like the environments and the character models, yes, there were some small details that I didn't notice in the Quest version. But all in all, it's a very, very similar experience.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like some of these textures look better, but like I said, I never got to actually see the game with the textures in there. One thing that this is the biggest thing that stood out for me from the Quest, on the from the PC version. This is just because I went through that beginning so many times on the Quest. Uh, I really appreciate the ability on the PC version to be able to hit the A button and skip dialogue, because I don't always want to sit through every single cutscene for the entire thing. You know what I mean? Options are good, and I just wanted to skip it, and the PC version lets you skip it, which is nice.
Yeah, I liked there were some things I did like about the PC version over the other versions. Of course, you know, graphically again, it's the best looking one. Everything's crystal clear, at a distance, uh, even up close to a point, but it's still fairly low res in the environments if you get up close to it. Um, Now the character models and weapon models were more detailed, and I think that that's where most of this texture pack went into. For example, like uh, the characters it was on the PC version. It was the only time I noticed like hair, like instead of just like it being solid black or whatever, you could get up and see individual hairs and stuff if you get up close. It's those sorts of changes. Um, the sounds of the weapons in the PC version are far superior to that in the Quest version. I mean, they sound and feel way better. Um, Probably the thing I appreciated most about the PC version was the fact that there were holsters. Like you can reach for your weapon and grab it and put it away. Unlike the other two versions where, you know, more like a flat game where you're pressing buttons to scroll through your weapons and stuff. You had a holster on on each hip, one for your um, weapon and then another for your PDA, and you could reach down and grab your PDA, and it worked just like the Quest version. Only this one was sized and distanced properly. So the PDA in the PC version was my favorite out of the three because it works like the Quest version, but it's scaled perfectly. And again, you can use your finger to navigate through the menus. Um, so all in all, the PC version seemed a bit more like a VR game. The way you were able to interact with things, the way things had a bit more detail to them, a bit more 3D depth, and really good sound effects.
Okay. So if you had to choose, if you were like, okay, I'm going to play through this game from start to finish on one of these three platforms, which one would you lean towards? Because I mean, there's benefits for each one, right?
Yeah, there's benefits for all of them, and you know, walking into a clean setup where nothing's installed and nothing's set up, man, I don't know. It really just depends on how I'm feeling on that day. Typically, I'm a console gamer, and I don't just mean, PlayStation. I consider the Quest to be a console as well. I like ease of use. I don't like tweaking settings. I don't like having to install mods and going through. For example, when I got into the PC version, the the thing is set up for voice commands so that the only way that you talk to the characters in game is by actually talking. But in order to use that, you have to go through some extra steps in Windows to set up voice recognition. And I didn't want to do that. So when I got in the game, I couldn't talk to anybody. And even if you switch it on to buttons, it still didn't work. I had to go in and manually map the Y button to talk to the characters.
Mm.
It's this sort of friction that I don't like. So while the PC version was, now that I have everything set up, I'll probably play through it on PC. But if I were walking into it clean with the knowledge that I have now, it would either be PlayStation or Quest, depending on whether I wanted to use, wanted the benefit of the aim controller, or if I want the benefits that the Quest offers, that, tetherless, pick it up and play experience. You don't even have to walk across the room and, you know, grab anything, turn anything on. You just put the freaking thing on and play, and it's complete freedom, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard to pick one. It'll be PC going forward, but for someone out there who hasn't set any of it up, I would probably go with one of the other two.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, your experience outlines perfectly what I'm talking about. How much time did you waste trying to get this thing to work and then still never got it to work?
Well, that's one of the reasons why my reaction to the other topic that we're not talking about was what it was, because I spent so much trouble shooting this shit. I was like, what you described doing, I was like, I'm not doing anything more. No more extra bullshit. And that's exactly what I just at some point it's just too much, right? I'd rather just have an easy mod. I don't think the Quest one was that difficult to do. Now let me ask you this. Now, from a layman's term, like if you were to take your Quest to just some random person that has never done much VR and you put them into Doom 3, do you think it's going to blow them away, or do you think they'll be nitpicking the shit out of it like we are? Because at some point,
It
we go through
depends.
all this stuff, right?
Yeah, it depends on if it's someone who's a traditional gamer or not. I got to imagine that someone who's playing Call of Duty on PlayStation 5 is going to go into Doom 3 on Quest and be like, dude, this is what, PS2 game, PS3 game? Well, look at these blocky graphics. You know what I mean? Because they're so graphics oriented, these traditional gamers. Now, if it's somebody who doesn't do a lot of gaming on a regular basis, yeah, I think that this is going to blow them away. This is, you know, it's everything that we always loved about gaming. Only now you're in it, and I absolutely, I think this is a great game for VR, no matter what platform you're playing on.
It's funny because people talk about nostalgia all the time, right? Like, what's more nostalgic than going into Doom 3 with the graphics exactly as they were when you played it last, but now you're in the game and it looks so much better than it would on a flat screen. I just it blows me away because there's there's room for the Alexes, dude. Like, you know what I mean? We got the high res graphics, the really good graphical ones, and then we got them bringing in an old port. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah, and the fact that you can run this on a standalone, it still blows my mind. And the fact, and what, you pick the game up for $5, you copy and paste one file through side loading, and now you have this full campaign in that headset. You can throw it in a backpack and take it with you, put it on and play it at any time. I mean, it really is an amazing feat, and Dr. Beef and his team really deserve a lot of credit for the things that they've been pulling off over the last year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Made me think I need to get some of these other mods into my headset, right? Like the
Yeah,
Half-Life
there's
ones and stuff.
I'm excited for that new one that they just announced. It's on that new game. I mean, it's built in the Quake engine, but it's a new game. So I'm excited to see how that's going to translate into VR.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, right?
Kenny Pooh asked, "Did I use Virtual Desktop to try to play the PC version of Doom 3?" I did. That was the first thing that I went for, was Virtual Desktop, and it did not recognize my controllers. It stayed on that first screen that says press any button to continue, and I pressed all of them, and it did not continue.
Hmm. That makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I think maybe it was trying to push me into the Oculus SDK where you have to play it through Steam VR. And I opened Steam VR first before I opened the game. But when I clicked on the game to open it, it opened up my Oculus Home. So
Hmm.
I know it was trying to play it through that
You might
that
have
direction.
you might have to put a special command in there to open it up through Steam.
Yeah, probably something like that. But I was fine with just grabbing my cable and plugging it in. So
Okay. Well, cool. Well, what it sounds like is Doom 3 is amazing on any platform. And you should try it.
yeah, yeah. It's great on all three, and it really just depends on what you value as a gamer as to which version is best. Obviously, the PC gamers that are a bit more place a bit more emphasis on the graphics and don't mind tweaking and doing all this extra setup. Obviously, they're going to prefer the PC version, and then the console gamer who doesn't want to deal with any of that is going to like one of the other versions better. So they're all great. They're all very affordable. AAA game for VR, and I think it's just awesome now that it doesn't matter what platform you're playing on. You can play this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so if you guys, I mean, hopefully that answers all of the questions that you guys have. Again, if you want more detailed thoughts, or if you'd like for me to have the ability to point exactly to what I'm referring to, uh, watch the videos. I've got again the PlayStation VR video is out there. It was recorded on my PlayStation 5, so it is. I mean, it was in backward compatibility mode, so it is limited to 720p. But I did record it on the PS5. I went on to record the Quest version on the Oculus Quest, and I went on to record the PC version on PC. So again, PSVR videos out today. Quest video will be out tomorrow. PC video on the next day, and if you watch those, I'll be able to kind of point to some of the things that we're talking about on here today, and demonstrate what I'm talking about.
Technoglitch says at this point is Quest 2 for him all day long, and Gamer Chick says she's disappointed that they didn't bother to randomize the various codes. Codes are still the same. Is that what you're saying? They just left.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
straight port.
I think she's talking about maybe the codes to the lockers
Mm.
in those lockers that have power ups and weapons in them. One thing I found cool about the PlayStation version versus the other two is there's a certain locker in the game that at the time when Doom 3 was out, uh, you had to literally get out of the game and go on the internet to a website to get the code to it. It was kind of a joke thing. Like you get this junk mail on your PDA from this place called MartianBuddy.com, and in the game, these Martian Buddy people send you a locker full of stuff, but you have to go to their website to get the code to it. So literally, back then, you had to get out of the game, go on the internet, and get the code. And when I played it on the Quest version, I had to like go to Reddit to find out what that code was. On the PlayStation version, the code is actually in the subject line of the email, but it doesn't say what it is. Like if you don't know what to look for, then maybe you wouldn't recognize it. But it does have the code right there in the subject line, so you don't have to go through all these hoops to open that locker.
Wow, cool. Well, I'll have to remember that if I go back in and try to. I want to figure out why I was having to move like that. That was weird, Wes. It was a weird way to move, Wes. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that I hated it, but I definitely didn't like it. So
Yeah, I would go back in and see if there's a way to maybe reset the settings to defaults without 'cause I don't know if that would reset it back to the game defaults or back to the VR defaults. I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
But I think that you've probably got your movement style switched on accident while you were in there tweaking settings.
I didn't see any settings. That's what's weird. But yeah, that's all right.
I don't know, man. All I know is it worked for me. Only problem I had was with talking to people, and again, it was fairly easy to remap the controls from inside the game.
Let me
So
ask you this: if you do continue to play through this, because you did like Doom 3 back in the day, are you going to go through the trouble of talking to people, of setting up the voice thing?
no, I'm just gonna play it as I have it set up now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You don't want to. Voice recognition's fun, bro. You get to read a bunch of lines over and over again.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think it matters what you say. Actually, I think as long as you talk to them, they'll
No,
say their scripted lines
it
back to you.
it gives you lines. Yeah, but I mean, on the for the voice recognition to set up for Microsoft or whatever, it gives you things to read, and you read it
Oh,
over like a whole bunch of shit, and it's recording your voice, and it's probably not good to do anyway.
yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna do all that. I just again, I'm a console gamer at heart. I just want to play. I don't want to tweak stuff, man. I don't enjoy it. I only have so much time, and the modest gains that generally you'll get from playing something on PC, really most of the time isn't worth the garbage you have to wade through to get to it. And
Yeah.
for me, everybody's different, obviously, but for me, it generally tends not to be worth it. And that's why. I always played my PlayStation more back in the day when it was hot. And these days, I'm playing more Quest than anything. I'm playing standalone Quest games.
Mm. Well, there is a testament to that, because I am not playing standalone Quest games. I'm playing certain ones, but for the most part, I just always gravitate towards the PC VR.
Well, I mean, I play PCVR too, but generally, it's stuff I can plug and play. I'm not going to try to spend a bunch of time to get something to work.
Yeah. How crazy is it that that doctor was totally normal 5 seconds ago, and then all of a sudden you have to kill him because he's
It's
possessed
one of the
by the
cool.
devil?
Yeah, it's one of the coolest effects in this game versus the flat version. Are those apparitions, right? Those flaming skulls and these spirits that are flying around. They look so cool in VR.
Looks really good. Yeah. This is, oh God, look at this, dude. Like, what is going on, bro? Can you imagine this happening in real life? Like, I don't even know what I would be doing, dude. Freaking out.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be shitting in my pants. That'd be
Yeah,
what I'd be doing.
absolutely.
Anyway, I don't know what more I could say about this. It's highly recommended on your preferred platform. What with question of which one should you play, which one do you normally play on? That's the one you should play it on. If you're normally playing on PC, you should play the PC one. If you're normally playing PlayStation, you should play that one. And same thing for the Quest.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so that's going to wrap that up. Again, keep your eye out for the video series over the next few days as the newer episodes launch. All right, so from there, I wanted to just take a few minutes to update our thoughts on Cosmo Dread. We talked a little bit about Cosmo Dread last week, as we had only had an hour or two in the game to play it. We had some assumptions that we made about the game, some of which were true and others that weren't. So I thought it would be a good idea to revisit that one this week, now that we've had some more time in the game, and really give some long form thoughts on it. So, Roots, first of all, how much more of this game have you played? Have you been back into it?
Yeah, I went back in. Think I streamed, was it, or recorded, or if I streamed it or recorded it. I don't know. No, I did. I streamed it. That's right, because I got a PC version of it. A couple hours, 2 or 3 hours. Went pretty far in there. Unlocked several different things. I had all sorts of people coming by to tell me I was doing stuff wrong. Found out a lot of things I was doing wrong, which is nice, because you don't know. I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But it's definitely a lot more deep. There's a lot more to it. And I mean, I've already unlocked 9 or 10 things, and I haven't even unlocked a bunch of weapons that I know exist. So I'm wondering how many schematics are out there. There's a lot more than I thought there was, for sure.
Yeah, that's the one thing. in my subsequent playthroughs, that really hasn't changed for me. Uh, I still haven't found any more schematics. I still
What?
just have the one,
What?
and I just get whatever weapon they give me at the beginning. Now, with that said, uh, the game's doing a much better job now of randomizing that weapon at the beginning. Like sometimes I'll get a pistol, sometimes I'll get the bolt gun, sometimes I'll get an electricity gun.
Hmm.
I've enjoyed having those different weapons to utilize, but I still have not found another schematic, and I have. You know me, I'm very detailed in the way I search.
Are you
So
finding the discs? Because like there's what times I've found like 3 or 4 in one run. Mash has even commented. He's like, "Wow, that's like the third or fourth one you found." Now,
uh,
granted, not all of them were schematics, but at least one of them were.
I've
Um,
only found two, and it was in the same playthrough.
that's weird, man. They're out there. Usually, you'll find one. I find one almost every single time on the starting table. There's one there.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and I've scream at the TV every time I'm watching somebody else play it, and theirs is right there on the first friggin' desk, and like it's infuriating because
Mm.
I mean it took forever. Like people were even getting the blue key card on that first desk, and I eventually did as well, but it took a bunch of different plays before I even got that key card on the first desk.
Well, it's crazy because there's so much, like I said, so much is opening up as far as what all these weapons and everything. Um what one of the things that you said, like the first last time we talked about it and we kind of discussed and agreed, which is totally not right now that we've played more, um, is like for one, you were saying there's not much in those lockers and stuff. And Mash told me right off the bat, there's sometimes there's you'll find ammo in there or you'll find like oxygen. It's not as rare, but as once you have all these schematics open, like I have all these different things I need, these lists. I remember, okay, well, if I was going to do this or that, like I've got a bag that gives me like 6 extra slots, right? And so that's one of the first things I like to build right off the bat. So now as I'm going into these lockers, there's all sorts of shit in there because all of it's stuff that I need. You know what I mean? It's all crafting stuff. And so it's open to it's like not just not seeing part of an equation, right? Just because it's not there yet. But once you've got all these schematics open, then you notice that there's stuff everywhere. And now you're kind of pissed because you're not finding what you want. You know, it's like, damn, I need plastic. Everything I need, I can't find plastic anymore. It's all metal or whatever. Um, but it's constantly makes you want to grab more stuff as you're going along. So, but yeah, the
So
one of
does it make you grind a lot more to just scavenge?
no, well, it's not grinding because everything's, case by case basis, right? Like, depending on what you want. Like I said, there's a thing you can switch in the menu to make you walk faster. I don't know that it's that much faster, but it is faster, but it takes away bag slots. So that's going to it's going to redirect you. You're going to think, my first thought was like, I have to make a bag. Like I have no choice. But if I'm going in and I don't slow down, maybe I think, okay, 10 slots is enough. Maybe I want to focus on making myself an electric gun, or I need bolts, or I need oxygen, it's all things you need anyway. And so it's just gonna change on what you have and just the gameplay, I guess. And depending on how much monsters, I ran into places where I had no oxygen, like I'm fucked. I'm scrambling as I'm about to die. And B, I've got 5 or 6 enemies I'm running into. Everywhere I turn, there's enemies, and I've got no ammo, none, zero. And but that changes if I've got the bolts. Like if I've got my thing, I've got the schematic for the bolts, so I can create a bunch of ammo if I want. But nothing's cheap, Wes. Nothing in this world is cheap. So you're constant, like if you're gonna grind something or you're gonna craft something, you're gonna be usually it's gonna require energy. And I'm finding out there's more to that as well, like something more to the darkness that you then. I just thought just grabbing batteries and leaving everything dark is a good idea. I guess it's not a good idea in this dark world. Um, and so you're trying to juggle that as well. So it's kind of there's a lot of different aspects that you're trying to juggle at the same time. There's a lot more to the game than I first thought.
Yeah, the gameplay is much more nuanced than it seems at first. It's a game that's easy to pick up, but difficult to master. There's a lot to it, and you're right. You want to keep the lights on in every room you go into, pretty much. There's a good reason for the game designer making the power limited, and the fact that you're moving batteries around as you go is kind of strategic with the way that you're approaching the game. One of the mistaken assumptions that I had last week is that this is a slow game, that there aren't very many enemies,
Mm.
because that was my experience at the time. But in subsequent playthroughs, as I've gotten more runs in, it's become increasingly populated. And not only with the enemies that I had encountered before, but with new enemies. There's a lot of different enemies in this game, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. It seems like every time I turn around, there's a new kind of enemy, and they're all a little bit different. Let me ask you this: do you think it's scaling? Do you think as we're going along, it's getting harder? It's more stuff spawning? Because it does seem like it's a little bit more crowded than it was. Not that it was dead in the beginning, but man, I just keep running into shit everywhere, and it's scary, Wes. I just want to. I finally found the bridge for the first time. That's the thing, man. I'm wandering in circles. You got your map on your wrist. I wish it was on my forearm. I hate to keep flipping my wrist over every 5 seconds. Um, but so you're trying to go to new areas, but I find myself circling around a lot, and not really going anywhere. When I'm done, I'm more often shocked that I haven't gone that far. Um, or I've, you know what I mean? Like, because even though I've gotten to places where I found the place to put the fuel cells, well, there's four of them, bro, and there's only one there. So now I got to go find three more, and I don't know what else. I never found the warp drive. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it's all about survival, and I do think that there is a an aspect at play here of what you're saying, that the game does take on new attributes as you play through it more and more and more. I think the game changes as you go along. Now, that's pure speculation on my part, but I think that that's something that certainly can account for a lot of the differences that we've had in our gameplays. Is that you've had a lot more runs on it, where I've had some pretty long runs. I just haven't had very many of them, but I have noticed the game evolving as I go. Um, but some other mistaken assumptions from last week. I said that I didn't get that map that you get when you get killed, that shows you the ground that you've covered, the enemies you killed. It was there. I just never noticed it.
Hmm.
Like the main screen that they put in front of your face talks about what killed you, how it killed you, and then strategies to avoid dying the next time you're in the game. I've always just been so focused on that that I never really looked off to the side at the map. That area where the map is over there, uh, typically when you're in the main menu, there's another screen right there that looks a lot similar to that map, but the information on it's useless. It's just there for looks. So when I came back out with that in my peripheral vision, it didn't seem like it was something different. It just seemed like it was that same screen of nothing. But eventually I ended up looking over there and seeing, oh, well, there's that map. So that actually was there when I thought it wasn't. And the fabrication machine, I said that I didn't see it. I didn't think I had it in my version of the game. It was there. The difference
Mm-hmm.
being is the first time I visited this area, there was no battery power to it, so there was no lighting, and it was powered down, and I just didn't see it. Uh, Upon returning to this area, the lights were on, and you could really make out a lot more things in the room than I knew were there, and that fabrication machine being one of them.
Oh wow. Well, at least you got a couple of schematics in that fabrication machine. I was just thinking, did you see the syringe? I found that thing for the health. And Onikazi was asking where to inject the the syringe, hypno syringe or hippo. I tried to use it and wasted the dose. I think you did actually, because I did as well. I like shot it out and like it just squirted out. I'm not sure. I used it one time. I just kind of tried to put it into my body and do it. And then the other time I thought I would just shoot it out, and it just went shooting straight out. And it was a time when I really needed it, Wes, and
Yeah.
things were trying to
Yeah.
kill me. So
Yeah, I found one of those or two, and I was able to inject them. I don't remember if I stuck it in my arm or my hand or my body, but I did stick it someplace where you would think your body is.
okay.
And it did work, even though it didn't give me quite as much health as I would have wanted it to.
Yeah, they're not that healthy. It's kind of like the electric gun doesn't give you that much shocker either. You got to get up close and then it's done. I really did feel like reminiscent of old school radio battery flashlight, where you're cranking that thing over and over again, try to get the juice going.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot like that, and it's useful in single or two enemy scenarios, but when you've got multiples, you're screwed if that's what you're trying to fight with.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool that you never run out of ammo, but there's such a long reload time that it's not practical for most of the enemy field rooms in this game.
It's good backup weapon.
Yeah, it would be that for sure because again, you never run out of ammo with it.
Oh, you know what else was different this time, Wes? I ran into your spider faces or whatever those little things. And what's creepy about those, man, I don't like it too, is like you just hear this thump, thump, thump. And you're like, fuck, man, one of those son of a bitches are in here. And you're right, you can't see, dude. It's dark and you're trying to shoot. You got limited bolts, you're running out of bolts, and these guys are jumping in your face. I don't like them very much. I don't like the big spider
Yeah,
thing either.
and
So
it's dark too, man. So even if you can make them miss that first time, now they're behind you in a dark room, and you have to find them all over again.
yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I do like the enemy diversity, not only the biological enemies that you're fighting, but there's a lot of automated robots and drones and such in this game as well, different varieties of them. Do you typically try to fight those or do you try to stealth your way around them?
I mean, I'll usually try to kill everything unless I'm out of ammo or low on ammo. Although there's been many times where I open a door and see what's in there and say, I'm not going that way. I'm going
Nope.
some other way. There's some things in
Yeah.
here you just don't want to face, Wes. Like it's for real. Very
Oh,
creepy.
I know. I know. There's some intimidating monsters. That said, I do think I managed to kill a polypoid, one of those big things that only attack you when you get near to them.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that those are the same things that reach through like the vents and walls and
The
have
tentacles.
the tentacle. You know, the real long one. Not the small ones won't hurt you, but the ones that come across the room, they'll smack you.
The ones that
And
pop the vents out and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't like that
yeah,
either.
I killed one of them. It took some shots, but they eventually went down.
Oh, that's good to know. Those are death. Obviously, I thought I was thinking maybe they were just good to stay away from. So if I can kill them, that's good.
A lot of weapon diversity in the game, a lot of different types of grenades in the game. Uh, One of the last times I played, I actually found a EMP grenade that
Ooh,
works against those electronic enemies. So, like, I had just died to one, like on a previous playthrough. The next time through, I had this EMP grenade. So when I noticed it in the room, I just tossed that thing in there, made it drop to the ground, and I just walked up and pop, 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 and it blew up after 3 shots.
nice. Um, Hard to get wants to know persistence versus Cosmo Dread, which is best. He's only played the persistence at the moment. I don't know. It's funny, before the last episode before this episode, last time when we talked about it, I would have said persistence hands down, but I think this is a different type of game. The persistence because one the cells you're taking out of the head, the currency is different. You have to attack things to get currency, right? So you're not, instead of scavenging for the stuff, you're slowly building, right? Where this is more about going around and finding stuff, right? Your schematics or whatever over time. And then of course the enemies are a little bit different, but I don't know, What do you think? I don't know. I'm
They're
starting to
they're
like this one a lot more.
they're similar in a lot of ways, and but there are some very stark differences as well. I would say that this is more of a VR game. Obviously, you have motion controller support and hand presence in this game. So if you're one of those people who that's a big deal to, you're going to like this one a lot better. That said, I feel like uh, Persistence is a better overall game. It's a more polished, longer, more challenging experience. I feel like once you get this one down, you're going to be able to walk through it in an hour, and I don't feel like that's necessarily the case with Persistence. It's much bigger map, um, and I mean it's way better looking graphically, um, and and there's a lot more to the gameplay. I mean, I like the Persistence better, honestly, um, but I could see a lot of people preferring this. This one keeps you on the edge of your seat a bit more. This one seems a bit more of a horror game than Persistence is. Persistence being more of a science fiction type thing. They're both really kind of grindy in the fact that you're collecting to craft as you go, but they do it in different ways. So I don't know. I would say Persistence is better, but this one is different and it's very good as well.
Yeah, like you said, more of a horror game, more of a seemed like this one's a little bit more of a wandering around and finding your way more. The other one, you got to map it all the time, all the places, like tons of places to look at and figure out where you're at. I never know
Yeah.
where I'm at in this one. This one deliberately wants you to feel like you're lost and you're in the dark and shit's attacking you, and it's creepy.
Yeah, the Persistence is a much larger map, and they're both procedurally generated in the same way. They shuffle up. Uh, but the difference is with Persistence, you never wonder where you're at with regards to the map. Like you have a personal map that you can bring up at any time, which is a really cool three-dimensional map that you can spring up right in front of your face whenever you want. In addition to that, pretty much every other room that you walk into has a map on the wall showing you where you're at. You can put waypoints on it. It shows you where all of the fabrication stations are at, so you know exactly where you need to go to get items. It plays very differently, but it's the scale of the game is much bigger. There's a lot more polish and nuance to the Persistence. Where this is just being like Root said, it's a lot more being scared in the dark with this one. So again, this is more of a horror experience, but I would say that the Persistence is more of a complete game.
Yeah. Did you get that invisibility cloak or thing?
I don't even have any idea what you're talking about. Persistence
No, this like I just picked up a thing. It's right there. It's an invisibility cloak projector.
no, no, and I've got something like that in Persistence, but I've never had it in Cosmo Dread.
Yeah, I found one lot my last run and was I messed with. I turned it on by accident. I couldn't turn it off, and uh, I wasted it.
That's generally how it goes, right? And that's always the struggle with these roguelike games is, you know, if you're like me, you're trying to be conservative because you never know when you're going to need that thing. But then if you die, it's all for nothing, right? So you got to know when to use your stuff. And I always struggle with that because I never want to use my stuff. I always want to use the weakest weapon and as little as I can to get by. But then I always end up dying and wishing that I had been a little bit more liberal with my use of my inventory.
Well, don't think that way, Wes, because that's how you end up like Roots, and you're like, I got no ammo, and you're running from like 17 enemies, chasing you down every hallway, and those guys are teleporting. I mean, there's certain enemies that you run into. It's like they're you just know. You're like, I don't want to. No, I'm going the other way. And that's one of them.
Yeah, and before you figure out the significance of some of the items in this game, I don't want to spoil it, but those enemies are a lot harder to deal with because it just seems like they never go away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's scary, Wes, for sure. It's probably one of the best horror games that's came out for a while of making you
Yeah,
feel like you're freaked out, right?
yeah. And just to be clear here, this game has turned out to be even better than we thought it was last week. I'm pretty sure you'll agree with that.
Yes.
Again, the gameplay is much more nuanced than it seems at first, and it's not easy. Although, I mean, again, I feel like when you progress enough, you're going to be able to run through it quickly. Uh, but I mean, you got to put the work in to get to that point, and I'm far from it as we speak. So, a definite recommend at $15. I think it's a steal at $15, and a must-have for any horror fan that has an Oculus Quest or PC VR in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we were saying the PCVR, I did notice that the graphics were significantly. I was telling you I didn't think there was much difference. I mean, it wasn't that it was phenomenally better, but man, there was like things that I noticed that I didn't notice as far as uh on the walls and stuff. Because there was, I were there even little tentacles in the Quest version or no?
I've never played the Quest version. I
Okay,
have
so I
no
need to go
idea.
through and check that out because I don't think some of these things were in there, and it definitely does look a lot better or sharper in the headset. Although it looked amazing in the Quest 2 as well.
Yeah, Drew says I did like Cosmo Dread. Just Doom is more my style. I could see that. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I like them both. If we're talking about Doom 3, there's just a lot more game there, and it's a lot more of a traditional game. So, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Onakazi says you got to save it for the boss. Then it's you got to save it for the surprise boss. Then you worry if there's a twist ending. Then you're looking at the credits with an inventory full of max weapons and heals. Yeah, this is my typical experience. No matter what I'm playing, I'm always so conservative. I'll play through the game using the pistol primarily, while I've got this badass shotgun with max ammo. And generally, this is my general process. I'll use a pistol until I have all my weapons and all my ammo maxed out. And then what I'll use is whatever I find lying around. So I'll use my pistol, but if I see, hey, there's some shotgun shells over there. I'm already maxed out on my shotgun, but there's some shotgun shells over there. I'll switch to my shotgun. I'll use it for a little while. Then I'll come back and grab those shells and then progress onward. And then whatever I find laying around in the next area, that's what I'll use there.
Yeah, it's a lot more thinking. If this was the real apocalypse, I'd be doing that. I just blow through there, grab shit, and start shooting, and then I realize I'm out of ammo. Or like the really good ammo, you know. I'm stuck fighting the boss with the crappy gun.
Yeah, yeah, that's always my fear, right? Is that I'm going to be under. I like to. I enjoy being able to use patience and strategy to have an easier time beating games than typically people would. So if I can find a different way to approach a boss or a way to keep my inventory full when I approach some certain challenge, I really enjoy that aspect of it, of having taking a different approach to beating these games.
Yeah. Well, there's always different ways, right? So it's the beauty and the fun of it, I think.
Yeah, Scion says when the shit hits the fan is when you use the better weapons. See, I'm the type of the guy when the shit hits the fan, I'll I'll die 10 times until I get good enough to deal with it with the lesser weapons.
Mm. Wes just doesn't like powerful weapons.
I love using them. I just hate being wasteful.
Yeah.
I don't like blowing a common zombie's head off with a chain gun. You know what I mean? I
So
enjoy it. It's fun to melt those dudes down, but then when the hell dogs come after you, what are you going to do?
so you didn't fall for Jack's tricks when he was trying to get you to waste bullets like I did. So I was like shooting stuff.
I did early on, like my first playthrough or two. I emptied everything I had on that guy. uh, but again, my subsequent playthroughs, I'm a bit more wise now to his
His
provocation.
tricks. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to save one bullet so that he can shoot himself in the face,
that's
right?
true. That's true. And always know when to stop. I learned that lesson the hard way because there is a limit when he'll get pissed and get back up and then kill you.
You know who never knows when to stop, Roots?
So,
My
yes, she
mom!
does not.
All right, so we're running on here a bit, so I think it's about time we wrap it up. But before we do that, I just want to give a few words to my gun stock. As I promised, I did put a little bit of time into it today in a couple of games, Zero Caliber and Contractors. Just for you guys, I got in there and made time to do that. I'll say right off the top here that I'm still very much a novice and have a lot to learn with regards to how to use this thing. And I've got a few things I want to say about it, though. I've been able to discern from my very limited time using it. First of all, I guess I should say right off the top, I can see why people prefer to use them. Uh, it absolutely improves your accuracy greatly. It's much easier to fire accurately if you have stability between your two controllers. That is the one positive thing I have to say about it. Like, I can see why people people use them. Now that that's said, this is not something that you can just pick up and be good with. This is something that takes practice and know-how to use because it is a clumsy thing to deal with in game when shit's going down around you and your hands are stuck to this thing, right? You know, you can peel them off to do the other things that you need to do in game, but you always have to be holding it there, right? I don't have a sling. Maybe a sling would make it much easier if I could attach it to my body some way. But as of right now, I kind of feel like I'm fighting with one hand tied behind my back always because you always have to have a hand dedicated to holding that thing up. Um, and another big disadvantage in my experience with it is I have yet in either of those two games been able to make it so that my offhand, my left hand, actually comes over and grabs the gun in game. In both Zero Caliber and Contractors, even after calibrating it in Contractors, your offhand in game is 6 inches away from the front of your gun. So your gun is not even touching your left hand. And what that leads to in game is way more recoil. Like even though your first few shots are going to be way more accurate, the gun is constantly bouncing up and down because I can't get my hand in game to actually go over and be where the gun's at. That was the same thing that happened in Zero Caliber.
Mm.
Now Zero Caliber I put down pretty quickly because there is no gun stock calibration in Zero Caliber. People told me just to go in there and play, and it would help your accuracy, which it does. But again, it's really clumsy to fumble around with this thing, always having to hold it up with one hand. And then even when you've got it a two-handed weapon in your hand, your left hand's not grabbing the weapon at all. It's just floating and out here in front of the gun. Uh, so again, my experience today, I'm sure would get better over time if I put the time into practicing and getting good with it, and maybe get a sling to hold it up. But my early impressions of it are not the best. You know,
Mm.
I explained earlier in the episode that I'm a console guy. I don't like spending a bunch of time on setup. And so far, you know, my experience has been if somebody looks at me with a straight face and tells me that this is better experience than the aim controller, I mean, I'm going to have a hard time not laughing in their face.
Which somebody in the chat wanted to know which version you got, and then Drew says you need a sling. From Shookhead says.
Yeah, Scion also says the sling is kind of important. I got the Sanlaki Oculus Quest 2 gun stock. Um, it feels good, man. Like when you have the controllers on it and you're holding it, it feels good. It's nice and heavy. It feels like a gun. The magnets are strong. I mean, they're very strong as they would need to be. Um, but again, I mean, Contractors, for example, is a game that's optimized for gun stock use. Uh, you have to calibrate it to every gun in the game, Roots. You have to calibrate it to
Mm,
every
mm.
gun in the game. And it only takes, I don't know, 2 minutes a piece, 90 seconds to calibrate them, but you still have to do it for every gun.
So is it one and done? Once you've calibrated it, it's good forever, or you got to calibrate it each time you want to use it?
Now that I do not know. I've only had my experience in there
Mm,
today, which sucked, man, because like it was good and it really helped my aim. But I accidentally dropped my gun once, man, and it was hard to pick that thing back up because I'm still holding it in real life while I'm looking at the in-game one on the ground.
hmm
And again, um, you got to squat down there and pick the thing up and still not drop this that you're holding. It was not easy thing to do, but again, I have very little experience with it.
Technoglitch wants me to put a picture up. I don't have that kind of setup going on. I was thinking about that earlier though, because there's a lot of like podcast shows that I
I can
watch.
I can link it. I can link it in the chat real quick. Give me a second.
Okay. But like the way that these producers for shows and stuff, the way they do it is, I'm assuming they've got a separate monitor. They pull up something, and then they've got a separate source that is specifically for that source, and then you just pull it up, and now you got your new thing up there. So
Yeah, so here's a link for those of you who are interested in which gun stock I'm using.
it's one and done, Scion says, but honestly, there are only a few guns that are best guns to use. So once you do it, Scion, you're good to go, bro. You don't have to do it a second time.
What I want to ask is this thing that I'm describing with your offhand not contacting the in-game gun, is
Common.
this something common? Is this something that everyone just deals with, or is there a way that I can make this? Because I mean, there's 6 inches between my hand and the gun inside the game, and there's no. While there is calibration in contractors, there isn't calibration for that. It goes, you know, up and down, in and out. It goes every direction except left and right like
Mm.
that. It doesn't rotate in that way. So
Yeah, you need a
I don't.
guru. Now, let me ask you this, because people keep trying to push you to get in this wheel. Um, there's a lot of different setup for the wheel, right? I guess you'll go down that road like I did and figure out the same thing that I did. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like you. There's too much. Sometimes it's just too much crap.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. See, people were telling me you need to do this, you need to do that. I just want to play, man. I don't want to do all this stuff. I want it to just work, right? And what you're saying here is true. I've been debating on whether I should do haptics vest or a wheel and pedal or a force tube because I really want a force tube. But I can tell you today, force tube fell way down the list. Like it's in third place now, uh, just because I've had such a difficult time. And I can tell if I want to be someone who uses a gun stock to play VR games, there's going to be a lot more practice and setup and stuff, a lot more time not playing games involved with just getting this thing to work right and getting myself to be good at using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, so Sion says you can hold the gun with your left hand and rack with your right hand. By the way, oh yeah, of course you can do that, but there's other things that you need to use your left hand for. So
Radio Runt says wheel and pedals. That's what he would do. Tinkering.
yeah, well, I also I know that's what a lot of people are saying, wheel and pedals, but I will point out to you guys again the caveat that I'm going to get the wheel and pedals anyway. Like I'm just waiting to get them when they're on sale. Like I could get the haptic vest now, and I'm still going to get the wheel and pedals because I have a practical reason that I want to have them, and I know that they go on sale later in the year.
Yeah, true.
Drew says, wouldn't it be nice if we had so many games that we didn't give a shit about accessories? We got a lot of games, dude, now. I just want to enjoy them more. And basically, I just bought this because there was such a good deal on it. And people kept telling me, dude, that it's better than the aim controller. It's better than the aim controller. Dude, I can just pick up my aim controller, and outside of a little bit of drift, which can be mitigated through know-how and setup, I can just pick it up and play. You know.
Well, but somebody else that on the other side could say, well, Wes, with a little bit of know-how on setting up for the gun stock, you could do the same. Like you said,
It's different. It's different. Basically, I'm talking about knowing where to place your camera, knowing how to stand.
right,
With this,
or how to fix it once the drift happens and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, the more you use it, like Siam was saying, or somebody was saying, check with Rendered Reality. They're experts with the Gunstock Pros, right? Maybe there's things that, like, if you used it a few times, it would become second nature. Then you'd be like, oh, this is nothing. For me, I just want a smaller one. I don't necessarily need the big old bulk. I just want something that's easy to climb with, like those little ones
yeah,
that clip together.
right. Well, again, when I talk about know-how and setup, we're talking about two completely different things between the two. Again, with the aim controller, I'm talking about camera placement, how to stand, things like that. With the gun stock, you're talking about going into individual game settings, setting up settings for individual guns, and then even after you get it calibrated, you're talking about something that's akin to learning how to juggle with a blindfold on. Like that's what it feels like because you've got the headset on, you can't see it, so you're fumbling around trying to, learn where the thing's at because your in-game hand and your real life hand are one to one, but the guns are in different spots. So you're trying to grab the gun in the game, but the gun in the game is not the gun in real life. So it's literally like trying to learn how to juggle with a blindfold on.
Yeah, well, that's VR for you, right?
Techno
Sure.
Glitch says, I need that $659 gun. I take it he's talking about that one we reported on not too long ago. That one, that the aim controller for PC that they're thinking about mass producing.
I'm not sure. I know there was one here in this video clip that I pulled that I think it showed something for about that price as well.
Yeah, that's the one. The Striker. Yeah.
Striker.
Now something like this, I'd be down for.
Yeah, look at how expensive this one is. That's a 2 bundle though. It's just
Yeah.
$1,300 for that one.
Well, those prices that you're looking at there,
Both.
those are enterprise. Those are for VR arcades. They're making a consumer version of that. That same company is making a consumer version of it, which theoretically is going to be more affordable for the at-home user.
Well, there you go. There's your next gun stock.
Yeah, maybe I need to try one of these kinds that have the controllers on top of it. I don't know, man. I know that this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy thing for me to pick up, but I'm not done. I'm going to try a bit more. I'm going to look around, try to get some tips. Uh, you know, um, who was it that suggested this thing to me? It was Blam Crotch. He made a video with this very gun stock. So I'll go watch his video, and I will, of course, keep you guys updated on my progress with it. Um, but again, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the period that leads up to my epiphany that this is the greatest thing on earth.
Well, dude, this is better than the aim controller.
Yeah, obviously, so much better. Anyway, I guess that's going to wrap up our episode for the day. I want to thank you guys, as usual, for staying up late with us and talking some VR. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comments down below and whether you think or anything or not. leave a comment down below, because again, we're in an eternal struggle against the almighty algorithm, and we're winning, but we can't
Can't
let
let
up
up.
now. We have to see it through to the end. So you guys leave a comment down below. Thumbs up, bell, big red button. Make sure you click all that stuff, especially if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up with the best in VR news, reviews, discussions. You get it all right here with the Virtual Strangers channel.
Absolutely.
Again, for those of you who have been with us for a long time, I don't have to tell you, you already know. $3 per month on Patreon gets you access, Roots. It gets you unprecedented access to our operation here. It gets you our weekly show notes. It gets you behind the scenes updates, which I put another one up there today. If you guys haven't checked it out, I got a little more personal with this one, but I felt like it was a nice read. So go on there and check that out. And then, of course, Roots, our bread and butter, our money maker, the money show. Again, any episode of which is worth your $3 investment, in our humble opinion. And we've got another one of those coming up probably within a week, I would say. Roots, we'll have another one up.
Yep. Absolutely.
Got some good stuff to talk about too. So Oculus making some headlines this past week. So I'd like to get Roots' thoughts on some of these things, and we're going to jump in. I don't know, probably to the top, probably, which I kind of want to do to the top for the main channel. To the Top Quest, for those of you who are wondering, the new version of To the Top that we bought in real time on Sunday's episode. We might just do both, right? Do a money show from it, talk some topics during the money show, and then do a multiplayer showcase for the
Yeah,
channel.
I think so. Definitely worth checking out for everybody, not just the Patreons, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond that, I mean, maybe you guys are out there in the world. You feel like you're all alone. You're a VR enthusiast in a world of flat gamers, and you really just feel like you have no home. Well, I'm here to tell you, you've got a home, and you'll find an invitation to your home down there in the description in the form of our Discord. It's where we all live. It's where everyone in the chat hangs out all day. It's where we laugh together, we cry together, we play together. It's our home, and we'd like to open it to you. So click the link down in the description, click the invitation, and come on home.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where all the invitations come out for Tiffany's Synth Riders multiplayer sessions. So you miss out.
Yeah. I got to get my synth riders lined out, man, because, I tried to get in there today. That was something else I was planning on talking about today, is that new music pack. But I'm having some difficulty with my Viveport. Like, it's purchased on my Viveport account, but when I go into the Viveport version of the game, it's not showing as purchased. And
What?
you click on it to purchase it, and it throws you out into Viveport to buy it, but then it's already purchased. So it's kind of a never-ending loop. And I wanted to
Check it
spend some
out.
more time in Doom and stuff, so we kind of let that one go. But we're gonna get that one situated, and when I get all my good DLC running in that thing, I'll absolutely take Tiffany up on her multiplayer deals here, because that's a fun game to play.
Yeah, especially against other people. I played against some randos today, and I got third place. Wes crushed it, and it was the most annoying group of adults I've ever listened to and not said anything to. But I came in their party. I just wanted to check it out real quick, and so I didn't say anything. But man, it was annoying. But I crushed them. It was fun.
You know who else came in their party?
My mom!
Oh man, did she ever?
Anyway, with that said, friends, we'd like to thank you once again for watching. Be sure you tune in next week. We've got something real cool then. But until then, for Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Take it easy.